Why are you doing the job of all those around you? You're only doing yourself a disservice. You can't focus on what you need to do to grow your own team and business, and you're stuck and you're burnt out. Hey, everybody, my name is Roger Barbieri, and I'm the co-owner and partner of SunWest Real Estate Advisors here in the greater Kansas City area. Former university and college executive, serial entrepreneur, and all-around good egg. I've had teams of 80 plus that have generated over 70 million annually in sales, and these are the things that I would like to share with you that I've learned along the way. One size fits all leadership. It is not the way to go. If you find that you're failing, if you find that your team is not getting to where they need to be, odds are it's because you have a type of leadership style right now that is not appeasing to everybody that is on your team. Remember, your team is made up of individuals. The ideal is to get to a place to where let's take a step back and let's think about this. Let's imagine this for a second. Let's close our eyes. It's early Monday morning. We're getting ready to think about where we're going for the rest of the week, right? So what are the things that we're going to have to put in place? Where do we want to see ourselves by Friday when we get to that point? Where do we want to see ourselves? All right, we want to see ourselves on Friday, knowing that all of the items that we woke up this morning with, knowing that we had to take care of with our team, for our business, knowing that all of those items come Friday are checked off our list. Knowing that we had the opportunity to delegate the responsibility to the people that really truly needed that responsibility delegated to them, that we delegated that responsibility to them in order to free up our time so that we could thereby do things that are more forward thinking, that are more proactive, as opposed to reactive. The one-size-fits-all leadership style is a style from the 50s and 60s where you'd walk in, you'd sit down at a table, and you'd have a guy that's sitting up at the front of a room with a white button-down, short-sleeve shirt, red tie, smoking a cigarette in an ashtray, because, you could just smoke back in the offices in those days, yelling at you, telling you whenever it is that you were allowed to get up and go to the bathroom, whenever it is that you could get up and go get coffee, or tell you not to get coffee because guess what? Coffee's for closers. That's right. Life's different now. We don't raise our children to sit in those types of environments anymore because we did not like those environments ourselves. But yet, when we get into leadership positions, we turn around and we look at it from the perspective of a title, where it is not. Leadership is a privilege. We have so much access to information at our fingertips on the daily that independence has become abundant. People don't feel as if they need to report back to somebody at all times because they know how to get the job done. And if they don't, then they can go find the answer to it very quickly. And so we talk about empowerment with leadership. The one-size-fits-all leader is a dictator. The one-size-fits-all leader is a leader who sets rules and boundaries and SOPs, and those are the only things that matter. The one-size-fits-all leader doesn't feed their people. The one-size-fits-all leader does not care about the future of the people that they work with. That's a one-size-fits-all leader. We're not there anymore. We have now evolved to a point in time where, and we talked about this in previous podcasts, and so go back and watch the other podcasts. We have evolved to a time where we are now about servant leadership in order to help people get to where it is that they want to be. The one-size-fits-all leader doesn't do that. So if you find that your team has a lot of attrition, If you can't hold on to the employees that you bring in, the folks that you bring in to be a part of your family, your culture, to work with you day over day, if you find that you're not retaining them, there's probably a reason. You are a one-size-fits-all leader. I've talked about this before, and I'll go ahead and I'll bring it up again. When we're talking about leadership, I kind of think of it like parenting. I truly do. And it's not I'm not trying to demean people that we work with in any ways by saying that they're children. That's not it. But I do truly believe that there is a love and an affection from a leader that should transcend down to the people that they work with. There is that responsibility that a leader should carry for the well-being of those that they're responsible for. There is a very parental feeling about that. And so when we look at it from that standpoint, when we look at it from the perspective of, yes, I am responsible for these individuals that are on my team, we take that and we compare it to potentially being a parent. And if you're not a parent, then just follow me, okay? If you're not a parent and you know people with kids and you understand what I'm talking about, and even if not, and trust me, you've been around enough kids in your life to where you know exactly what I'm saying with this. My wife and I, my God bless her, my wife has gifted me with three beautiful children. Three. All are very different. All are very unique. Our bookend children are more similar than our middle child is to the other ones. And we know after years of being with them and being their parents that we have to communicate with each and every one of them a little bit differently. There's a different communication skill that's involved in order to help each of them grow. I'm going to use my middle child for the example on this. My oldest is your typical oldest. He's a boy, right? And he grows up and it's like, great, we're going to help you read, we're going to help you learn to write, we're going to help you, you're going to go to school, you're going to do sports, you're going to go around, you're going to play with all your friends, you're going to be a typical boy. Great. Very loving, very caring, very open. I don't like to use the word typical boy because, you know, it's like, there's no typical, I guess, but, you know, he is. He's a good kid and caring and sensitive and compassionate for others. And to work with him means that as a father and as a dad, I have to also set a standard for what it is that he can emulate as he grows older. My middle child. The middle child was born with a disposition, straight up. My great aunt, very Italian, always said she had a faccia brute because she always had a scowl on her face. I mean, from the minute she came out of the womb. And we always knew that communicating with our middle child was going to be a little bit different than communicating with our first child. And we have, with our middle child, had to go through a lot of parenting, communication, rewiring. I think that's the best way to put it. I cannot treat my middle child the same way that I treat my oldest. At all. If I did, my middle child would be traumatized. Now my youngest child, on the other hand, I could talk to her basically the same way that my grandparents on my Italian side of the family used to talk to all their kids and talk to us as grandkids. She'll take it. She'll take it and then she'll spit it right back at you. So I can have fun with her that way. I can communicate with her that way. That's her love language, is to spit back and forth. But my middle child, not at all. It's different. You've got to go hand on the shoulder. Let's have the conversation. Let's bring it back down. Let's talk. Okay, so back up now. I compare this to family and I compare this to children, again, because of the relationship that you should have with your people when you are a leader. I truly believe that. Every single person that you work with is different, just like every single child in a family is different. You have got to communicate differently with each. You've got to. One-size-fits-all leadership will destroy your team. It will also destroy your culture because you are not allowing your team to build a culture which is theirs. You can oversee the culture, but it is not necessarily your job as a leader to define the culture. You guide the culture. The definition of the culture comes from the team. So now that we've identified that one-size-fits-all leadership does not necessarily work, not just does not necessarily, it just doesn't. It's awful. It's awful. One-size-fits-all leadership doesn't work. Everybody's different. Everybody needs coaching and leadership on different levels. How do we do this? How do we define those different levels? Where does this come from? So we're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to pull up my whiteboard real fast, and we are going to go over some of this. Now, by the way, if there's anybody out there who wants to reach out and DM me, let me know. I need help with like technology and stuff. If you know better ways for me to do this, it's just me kind of doing this on my own. Hey, reach out. I'd love your help. Let me know. So in the meantime, we're going to do it the way that I know how best. And that's going to be with the whiteboard. So I'm going to pull this up, and we're going to talk about situational leadership, okay? Situational leadership. One-size-fits-all leadership does not work. Situational leadership is the key because everybody is different, and everybody's at a different level. So we have to make sure that we're working and coaching everybody where they are at. You got to coach them where they're at. Otherwise, you can't coach up. And it's so important. So important, okay? So Ken Blanchard and Paul Hersey were the ones who, as far as I know, were the ones who originated the concept of situational leadership and the developmental stages and the coaching stages for the strategy stages. So here, let's pull this up real fast so we can talk about it. Ugh. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to move us this way. Ha! All right, it's been a long time since I've been able to teach kind of like this, so this is going to be fun. Okay, situational leadership. So one of the things we have to look at, if you have a piece of paper, you can, we're going to draw a big box with 4 different quadrants. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can go about this. Sometimes people will start with developmental stage 4 down here, which is actually going to be the stage in which you are allowed to leave the people you work with, give them the most autonomy. They're the folks that need the least amount of work. But I'm going to go in the opposite direction of that because what we're going to do is we're going to talk about bringing people to recycle instead. So you've got developmental stage 1, developmental stage 2, developmental stage 3, and developmental stage 4. All right, now, these are all the different sections in which people have come into your business or are within your team, right? So down here in developmental stage 1, these are the folks that are brand new. These are the folks that are brand new. So let's go ahead and let's put them down as brand new. All right? Just came into your team, just came into your business, brand new, excited, and eager. These folks up here in D2, these folks over there in D2, these are the folks who have been around for a little bit, all right? So they're gaining confidence. They're gaining confidence, but they still need quite a bit of coaching. Okay? D3 is a little bit different. Hold on, I'm going to make sure that we get this 100%. All right. All right, so D3 over here is going to be the folks, these are the folks that they've been around for a little while, they're confident, it's kind of like half confidence over here. These are going to be the folks that are very confident in what they're doing, and that you can then begin to delegate some responsibilities to, right? And then once you come down here to D4, these are your completely autonomous individuals. These are the people who really at the end of the day don't need any kind of work, any kind of help, any kind of assistance. These are the folks who are able to take what it is that you give them and run with it. So when you're building out your team and when everybody is growing, number one, these are the folks down here in D1, the newest folks, the really enthusiastic ones. You've got to keep up with these people daily. You got to keep up with them daily, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. And I don't like the term micromanagement. I really don't. But you do kind of have to micromanage these folks just a little bit. And it's something where they'll appreciate that. They'll appreciate a little bit of micromanagement in a good way. Remember, it's in a good way. You're not trying to beat them down. You're trying to make sure that you're holding them accountable to following the step-by-step that it takes in order to get the job done properly. Because you know it. On your team, you should be the best at everything on your team. So when it comes down to it, these are the people you're going to get in there. You're going to coach them. You're going to train them. You're going to work with them daily. But you've got to hold them highly accountable. If you don't, then what's going to happen is you're going to have people who, well, for the most part, quit because they are not going to believe in what it is that you are doing. All right. So once you've done that on your new folks over here, they then move up, and we're going to move them up into a different quadrant up here, right? They're brand new. They've been there for a while. They're feeling good about what they're doing. Well, now you've gotten them to a point where you can coach them. You can coach them. You can train them. They feel good about what they're doing. They're a little bit more confident, but don't want to be left totally alone. This is where you can really get in and coach them up. All right? That's the best part about it, is when somebody has a good understanding of what it is that they're doing and where it is they're going, but they still really want that support. That's this right up in here. Now, we're going to put support over here. But this is where a lot of coaching comes in, okay? A lot of coaching in D2. So once you're there, we're going to move over to D3. Now here they're going to have a lot of confidence up here. And up here is where we're going to start to really back off, right? These people we're going to meet with daily. These people we're going to meet with maybe 2 times per week. These folks over here, we're going to meet with 1 time per week. And that way, we can keep up with them, give them the support that they need in order to truly feel autonomous. And then once that autonomy kicks in, boom, we're going to take them down here to D4. And then they're going to be completely autonomous, and this is where we really can. And I put delegate up here. We're going to put delegate down here. I can delegate responsibilities at this point. These are the people that I can rely upon to get everything done that needs to be done. These are the people that I can go to in clutch situations and say, hey, look, I need you to take care of X, Y, and Z. I need you to start to coach these people a little bit. I may even have my D3s coach my D1s because I want my D3s to continue to build the confidence. And there's no better way to build confidence than to teach and coach and to train, right? So that's what we're going to do. D1, D2, D3, D4. This is a very quick rundown. And I'm happy to sit down and go over with anybody who wants to learn more about it whenever. And I'll actually post up underneath in the comments a situational leadership chart and program so that you guys can download it if you'd like. But that is an overarching overview, for lack of a better term, of what situational leadership is. So again, we want to step away from the one size fits all. Got to step away from one size fits all. We want to step into situational leadership where we are training each individual and meeting them where they're at. D1, you've got your brand new person, right? They just came on board. They're brand new. They want to learn. They're eager. Those are the people that you're going to keep up with daily. You're going to constantly stay on top of them, make sure that they feel good, make sure that they feel appreciated, make sure that they know what's going on. You've got to. Otherwise, you are going to lose them. You're going to lose them. So you go from D1 then, right? You build them up. They get comfortable. They know where they're at. You take them to D2. When they're in that developmental 2 stage, you work with them a little bit more. This is where the true coaching comes in. This is where you can really get in there and start working with them and help develop them, help them understand. You know, you're there for them. You start to give them a little bit more responsibility, but that responsibility really comes in terms of backing off a little bit, okay? You want to coach the most in D2. Once they get to D3, that developmental stage 3, that's where we're going to support them. We're going to give them a lot of support. And we're going to wait for them. We're going to let them just kind of incubate right in there in that D3 section until they're fully confident and they're totally ready to go out on their own, ready to be completely autonomous. And that's where we can begin to delegate the responsibilities because they are truly ready for it. They have their job so well mastered and they feel so good about what they're doing that they are able to take on additional responsibilities if they want to. Don't force people to do things that they don't want to, but if they want to. And if you created the right culture with your team, then they should want to work harder for you as well because they see that you're working hard for them. Okay. So at the end of the day, because we're coming up just about on our 20-minute mark, at the end of the day, we need to learn to take a step back and not be the one-size-fits-all leader. One-size-fits-all leadership is like going to a hat store. Go San Diego. It's like going to a hat store and buying a hat that doesn't have an adjustable back. It's 3 sizes too small. And trying to stuff it on your head. It doesn't work. You got to find something that's adjustable, right? Your head grows. I know, depending upon what kind of season I'm in, whether it's prep season or my weight gain season, my head gets bigger and I got to adjust the hat sometimes. Adjust your leadership style. Meet people where they're at. We're going to close out today with the story, and pull this up real fast. It's the story of the CFO and the COO. I've heard this quite a few different times from quite a few different people, but just the quick story. The CEO and the CFO, how the CEO and the CFO get together and they say, how are we going to make our business better? How are we going to grow this? And the CEO looks at the CFO and he goes, you know what? I think we need to do a lot more training. I think we need to invest in training. And the CFO looks at the CEO and he goes, but if we invest in training and spend all this money on them and then they leave, what then? And the CEO looks at the CFO and says, well, if we don't invest all this money on training and they stay, what then? What we've come to find is that people will stay at a job that they're really happy at, where they feel a lot of appreciation, even if they're getting paid a little bit less than what they could somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, time and happiness, it really does mean a lot more to people than maybe get used to. So lean into that as a leader, because I'm sure that you'd like to get some of your time back too. And if you can develop the people around you to where you are all on the same page and you're all moving forward together succinctly, then your time in your life, you get it back. And in turn, you're giving to others. Be safe, be blessed. We'll see you next Monday.